James, it's good to have you on, as always, here on a Friday. What's going on?
Hey, Phil, thanks for having me. Just normal day at the office, get some stuff knocked out, getting the week tidied up. Looking forward to watching the game tonight.
Yeah, get it all over by 6:30 for first pitch. Thoughts on last night? Disappointing way to start a series. Tennessee wins 10-7. Not the way you want to get a series going, especially considering that the Volunteers have their ace going today.
Yeah, I got little kids at home, so anytime 10 o'clock hits 10:30, I'm probably cashing out. So I missed the close last night. Woke up pretty disappointed to see how it panned out, but we still got a chance to get to their guy. Obviously, Doyle, I think, kind of a special talent, but doesn't mean we can't get to him. Try to get to the bullpen, put some runs on the board.
4-hour, 3-minute game to go on your point of after 10 o'clock. I'd have been able to fall asleep too. But Tennessee yesterday, you can see that they're trying to control the pace of the game. Their batters, they take a lot of time to walk to home plate, and when they get there, they will take their time before they get into the batter's box. The pitchers, we lost track of how many times they threw to first base. You get a team that's trying to slow the game down. How does that affect an opponent?
Yeah, at some point you have to police that a little bit yourself. It's a little bit difficult now with the rules about initiating eye contact and pitch clock and when does the clock start and when does it stop, so to speak. I thought some of the antics last night in terms of the pickoffs and slowing down was just based on, that guy's inability to control the running game, which I think was well documented throughout the season. And then he kind of got exposed being a young guy previously. So I don't know that was so much of an antic, more of something that he wanted to personally improve on and a part of his game that really had been exposed throughout the year. But, look, you got to follow the rules as they are. You got to do what you can and just get the guy in the box, pitch aggressively, get ahead of the zone, and really throwing more strikes is going to pick up pace of play than really anything that the batter is doing. Ultimately, you get ahead, you throw a lot of strikes, pace of play takes care of itself.
If you were watching up until 10, you had to have seen Zach Root start because he was pulled in the fourth inning. I started to get a little nervous when he just lost command of his breaking pitch, and that was a difference for him the previous 2 weeks. He's got 3 different breaking balls. There's the cutter, which of course is more straight, but has that tilt, the slider. His curveball, to me, is the biggest difference for him, and he didn't really have any of the 3 yesterday. And it just, if you don't have your breaking pitches, well, you better have your fastball, and he had trouble commanding his fastball too.
Yeah, to me, when I watch Root, so something to look out for is whenever you see him cut his fastball unintentionally, you may have noticed it where, he throws his fastball and it almost takes, Helfrich's glove off, so far going to his left, and he just loses it. To me, that's when his breaking ball is not as good because there's something that's a little bit off with the arm slot. I've experienced that a lot to where if I'm throwing the fastball and it's not moving how I expect it to and it's doing some funky things, typically that means there's something mechanically going on that's a little bit off. I think for him, he's better being a little bit more over the top, kind of staying in line, staying through it. I think when he starts to get a little tired or maybe he overthrows, he starts cutting off that fastball. And when he cuts off that fastball, that same tendency is what causes him to lose command of the breaking ball. When he loses command of the breaking ball, we see him get behind in counts, doesn't put people away, and that's when he gets in trouble. I think with Root, it's kind of been a tale of two cities. He's throwing the breaking ball great. He's getting guys off balance, and he's striking out a lot of guys. He has a stellar outing. Or a little off with the command, breaking ball's not there, behind in counts, and then he can get exposed. He's kind of shown us one guy or the other throughout the year.
Interesting. Well, hopefully he can get it back because, in 2 weeks, this is the time of the year. I was talking with Dave about this before our interview yesterday, James. They've prepared every player for this point in the season. We say, well, why do you come play at Arkansas? There's all kinds of reasons why. You know why you come play at Arkansas? For the middle of May to the end of June. And the coaches, we hear so often, Dave, talk about, well, we're saving your arm for later. Instead of throwing 7 innings in March, maybe just go 5 to 6, and we're saving you for later. Later is now, and there is no later after this. This is when you got to be playing at your best.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a couple of things. You want to win the series, obviously, to try to lock in that national seed. I know they got us at 8. Dropping 2 or especially 3 at home probably gets us outside of that bubble would be my guess in terms of hosting a Super if you're able to get there. Now, winning this weekend has those implications, but long term, sometimes, for me, like if I was Root, a little bit of a break a lot of times really helped because fatigue is what led to a little bit of that mechanical issue. And so, I remember spurts where I'd be a little off. I'd take a couple extra days off, and it's like, oh, I'm back. Like the ball's jumping again. I'm on time. I'm on top of the breaking ball. And some of that, is still to be determined. I think with this team, to me, it's kind of a tale of two teams. Like I talked about with Root, it's kind of gangbusters offense, or it struggles a little bit to get that timely hit, struggles a little bit to score runs when we're not hitting the ball in the gap or out of the park. And so we got to dig deep and find a way. Hey, if we're not, just gangbusters offense, how do we find ways to score runs? What is our MO that is going to allow us to score runs? I think we saw that last night. They scrapped some out even when they didn't have their best. We just gave up too many runs on the other side. And so, it's just putting those pieces together. Can we find a starter who can have depth? Can we find reliable guys out of the bullpen? And then can we score runs and find ways to creatively score runs? If the offense is a gangbusters, it's going to be that combination that gets us through the postseason.
So a couple hours ago, James, Aiden Jimenez was announced as today's starting pitcher. That's the TBA, first start of the season. He's been their most effective reliever, and now you're changing roles for him. And this all has to be about, we want to start him in the postseason, so give him the ball right now. What do you make of this?
Well, DVH, that's his MO. It's who's got the hot hand, and if you have the hot hand as a reliever who's shown the ability to go extended innings, you would think that naturally that would progress into the starting role. Now, does that always happen? You've watched enough baseball to know, not always. It's just there's something about relieving and starting that is just worlds apart, even though it's the same mound, the same game, and same ball. I think that for him, he's got great command. And so I don't think, guys who have really wild command, they usually are guys who struggle going from reliever to starter. He's got better command. I don't think that'll be a problem for him. And I think for Dave, he's saying, look, we need starting pitching. Let's throw him out there now. And so that the first time he's not getting thrown out there as a starter, we're in the postseason. Let's try to get him some reps here, maybe some reps in the SEC tournament. And then if we need him as a starter in the postseason, he's got some experience. He's shown us he can do it. We feel better about putting him out there.
Do you believe in momentum for a team? So I'm just to give two examples here where it's just difficult to figure out how a team's going to play in the postseason. Your 2015 team, you guys were on a tear. I think it was 7 series in a row that you won and then had a really nice showing in Hoover. So when you watched how you guys played in the postseason, to me it wasn't a fluke and it wasn't a surprise because you guys have been playing nothing but winning baseball for almost 2 full months. 2022, they weren't playing winning baseball. In fact, they weren't playing well at all. Go on the road, end up in Omaha. It's just tough to figure this out.
It's a weird game, and it's kind of a cruel game when you think of it because best teams don't always win. There's so many forces at play between momentum and where guys are individually at the end of the year. How do you umpire calls, bad breaks, et cetera. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. I think momentum definitely plays into it, but it can change at any time. If you're on a heater and you're really playing well, it's going to end. It's just a matter of how long can I keep it going, and then vice versa. If we're slumping, what do I need to do to fight through it and come out of it? I think for us, it's just a combination of finding the right formula offensively and defensively to get us 80% of the way there. I think if our pitching staff is 80% as good as they've been and same offensively, we're going to have a chance to make a run in the postseason. But if we're out of sync to the extent that I think that we have been, the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's just enough to not win those games. We just got to be a little bit better on both sides, and the talent's there to really make a run here at the end.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing and we're into the NBA and NHL playoffs, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NBA, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.